Starting to the bottom right, we have the AZUBU Protoss player. He's a rookie.
AZUBU, Patience.
Patience with 4 maps in Heart of the Swarm against Protoss. He won only a single one. He won the one against Seed. He lost to Crank, Trap, and Tacita. So only 25% win ratio. Really weak in the matchup these days. He's up against one of the best. Starting to the top right is his opponent. It is
Soul Deer.
And Deer starts things off with a gate at 10. Starts things off with a 10 gate, and this guy is so good in this matchup. He has a 60% win ratio with more than 40 maps played. The recent successes that he had was a 3-0 against MC, a 2-1 against Hero. He defeated Hero again at the Grand Finals of WCS. At the GSTL season, he took down Avenge, he took down Tacita. This guy is so good. In the semifinal back then in the Premier League in Korea, he was able to win against Trap. Actually, I think it was the quarterfinal of the semi. So he took down his own teammate with the 3-0. And right now he is up against the rookie. And Dia, from the beginning, wants to apply pressure.
Yeah, and luckily for Patience, he gets the better end of the deal. He's going to get both gases up. He gets a faster probe lead because he was able to, just make his gateway at a normal timing. And the aggressive commitment that Deer goes for is not going to be very useful. Cross spawns on the biggest map that we have in the pool, or at least by these distances. Cross spawns. It's it's even longer than the whirlwind. You can't even go as the crow flies. You have to sneak around certain parts of the map that are walled off by rocks and other bridges and things like that. So it's not going to be a map where he's going to be able to get a whole lot done with his pressure here. Rallies the Zealot across. He's going to send the Mothership Core too. And as long as Patience doesn't cut too many corners, he's going to defend this easily just because of the map distance.
Well, the thing is he should, but the problem that I have with this still is that the unit control of Dia is just so much better than Patience. And Patience, he needs more than that, I feel, to really get ahead in the game. But, I mean, for now, we have the scout on the map. Dia is just trying to find out where exactly Patience spawned. He's going to find out about the cross spawn. Has the Mothership Core now out as well, and also Chrono boosts his gateway. He really wants to be aggressive. I mean, right off the bat, the guy is like just getting those units out into the game and wants to move to the bottom right, where we have a sentry being built for Patience that will give him a bit more safety at the ramp.
Yeah, it will give him safety at the ramp, but if he misses his force or if those units get in the main base, this could be a problem. He may end up losing his Mothership Core. His sentry is not a whole lot of DPS.
Yeah.
Luckily for him, though, Deer guesses incorrectly that his opponent is at top right with the Mothership Core, and now he has to turn around, which buys him so much more time. And this will mean that he gets the Nexus up, but
well, he can already think about canceling that.
Well, I don't think he's going to have to cancel it, but it's not going to be what he wants. Like, he wants to have more units out, and it's 2 Stalkers and the Mothership Core coming across the map. Second Stalker is very late, but he's going to need to use all of his Chrono energy on getting the rest of his units out. Twilight Council follow-up. That's interesting to me. Now he needs to hit this force field. I'm telling you, if he doesn't hit that, oh my God, he didn't even try for it. Well, that's decent.
Field.
That's decent, but where are the units, man? Where's the Mothership Core? He sent it across the map. Now he's regretting it.
Yeah, there's the cancel.
Yeah, he has to cancel now. He let the units in his main base. His sentry is under fire by the Mothership Core.
Yeah, and might actually die, and that Stalker is still just hunting down houses, but now surrounded, actually. Oh, wow, he messed that up a little bit.
Yeah, that's for sure. We'll get a probe, but the second Stalker arrives, and that's still more than he can deal with, as he will lose his Stalker. Mothership Core, the Photon Overcharge recall goes off.
Yeah, takes down the Stalker on the other hand. That Stalker is also going to die. The worker count at this point, 23 against 24.
Did he see the Dark Shrine? Okay, he starts his Robo.
That starts his Robo, and we have a 1-base play with 4 gates and a Dark Shrine coming out of Patience, whereas Dia lost actually a lot in that encounter. 2 Stalkers, the Zealot, he killed 3 Harvesters and a Sentry.
The Nexus cancel is... It wasn't necessary to survive, but it would be necessary to do the Archon bust that he's going to go for. He's going to try to use the DTs to make an Archon and attack up his opponent's ramp. It's the only reason why he's got 4 gateways now. It's not a standard 4 gate because he's going to have those Archons, which actually do a decent amount of damage too. He's probably only going to have the 1, and it's going to be for breaking force fields. And it's a good counter strategy, but if Deer just plays patiently and safely here and doesn't make a whole lot of sentries, he should be fine if he has enough DPS to target down those Archons.
The probe scout was taken out before he could even spot the expansion. That's another point in favor of Dia, that he leaves his opponent in the dark. There comes the expansion for Patience. This is actually quite interesting from how he played this.
Yeah, why would he make the Nexus if he's going to go for this? If he's just going to try to DT harass, then he's not going to get really anything done here.
It looks like that's exactly what he's going to do. which has, by the way, been spotted. And there are 2 observers already in the game.
This is
Hello DT and bye DT.
I mean, to me it was like the obvious choice. 4 gateways and an Archon, that's a lot of damage. That's really scary. His opponent's trying to expand, that could catch him off guard. But transitioning like this, he's basically just agreeing to be behind. He's like, oh, you're ahead of me, and I guess I'm going to let it be. Maybe I can catch up. Because
that expansion is done for Deer now, and Patience is only halfway done with the zone, whereas the double pro production already kicked in for Deer.
He doesn't even have robotics tech yet. Their first Immortal's on the way, and he couldn't be further behind, and he's just going to sit at home and let this happen. I am actually baffled by his choice to just make a DT and scout and then try to catch up. Now he sees with this, he's like, oh my god, you have this many probes, you have mining for this long?
His DT didn't do anything. If he doesn't find a way to utilize the DTs a little bit later on, then that was just a huge investment that didn't pay off at all. And he doesn't have a Warp Prism, so that he could at least try to get those DTs in the main base somehow. And right now, Dio, of course, with his own Hallucination Scout, knows exactly what kind of situation he's in. His own Robotics Bay is already completed. He started with Colossus #1, is now putting up his gateways for the production. His Forge is a little bit later than his opponent, so he's not going to have that fast +1 attack upgrade. But his tech in general is just better.
And he knows that when he got in there, he's like, oh, the only thing I'm missing is the Forge, so he immediately starts that. Another thing that he did see was that his opponent's Forge wasn't spinning, so that he also knows that his +1 is not going to be that far behind. And if he Chrono Boosts it and spends all of his Chrono on that, he's going to be very close in that sense. So Deer actually at this point is probably thinking either I can try to kill him with the timing, which is not really Deer's style, or I'll just take a 3rd base and just sit on that, and you're going to have to be careful because I might attack you and kill you, but I'm going to get my 3rd base for free. I mean, he's walking across the map with 2 Sentries, an Immortal, and a Colossus just to show the pressure, and then he's going to take a 3rd behind it, I think.
Yeah, he really just wants to go for that. There's another warp in. He could have been even further behind than he already was. He was able to force that cancel earlier, but you know, the one thing that really surprised me a little bit is that he lost this many units in his opponent's base. And the trade was not as good as you would have expected, seeing that force field being missed at the ramp. But right now, all of that doesn't even matter anymore. We have a 34 army supply for Dia against 40 actually against 32 right now. And he has a pretty solid force that he can use, and with that Colossus alone, that can dish so much damage out.
Yeah, he needs to make sure he keeps his observers alive because of DTs, but he's actually committing here. I misjudged what he was doing. He's not faking. He's for real here, and if he gets a force on that ramp, he can trap these units down here. The Mothership Core, of course, goes for the overcharge, which will buy him some time, but only a little bit. And he could actually just, with the next round of Warpens, maybe even try to bust the Nexus down. I don't think he will.
And that DT was immediate gone, moved into the radius of the observer. And in the main base with the Warp Prism, we have another round of Warpins. DTs to the rescue for now. But that is, of course, distracting Patience, and Deer, he can go for the natural anytime he wants to.
He's trying to bait an overcharge into the main base, and if he uses DTs to defend, yes, that is a good defense, but that's a lot of gas he's spending on not Immortals, which is what he wants to defend with this. Worker count, look at that, 45 to 33. And again, he can just walk away. He doesn't have to commit here. He can actually just walk away and take a 3rd base.
Yeah, we have 2 Immortals and the Colossus currently for Patience, so he's still trying to defend here. He is down 10 Harvesters, by the way. We still have the pro production going on for Dia, and he starts his extended thermal lance, something that he might actually have forgotten about, because he started as soon as the Colossus shoots for the first time. Here we go right now. He starts also the armor upgrades and his own Twilight Council. He could move back, and he kind of has to.
Yeah, he stayed too long here, and he's actually in a little bit of trouble. The Archon leads the charge. The Zealots in the main base, though, giving him a little bit of a distraction.
I'm actually a little bit surprised that he doesn't have the Mothership Core there for recall.
Yeah, he's just going to walk home now.
Waits out there at one in the main base, by the way, or does a little bit more damage. With all the Harvesters killed so far, he finds himself still in an economy lead.
Yeah, 46 to 41. And +2 actually comes out first. Like you mentioned before, he gets the armor, so they'll kind of cancel it out. The +2 going to be very useful for Colossi and Archons, though, just to do that extra +2 area effect. 3rd base here, a little bit later than I expected to see. I don't know. This game plays out a little bit oddly for both players. I feel like Deer thought he could get a lot more done there, and then the DT defense really threw him off guard. As it is, he's still ahead, and his 3rd base is going up first, and he has that better economy. He's going to run with it. Just has to make sure that he continues his upgrades. And
the Warp Prism was just really successful for him in the main base. Opening up that second funnel was doing him quite a lot of good. And Patience, I like that he went for the DT that gave him the opportunity to not use, or that prevented him from actually splitting his army and putting too many units into the main base and that being attacked at the natural. But as you already said, it also cost him quite a bit of gas.
You know, the Colossus range is another thing that you touched on that I think might have been something that Deer wanted to hit with, and he thought he was, and it was just not to be. Because had he had Colossus range there, he could have done so much more. Just pick off units, micro a lot better. He's still continuing to have this soft contain. He's made his own Archons, and it looks like he's going to try to force a cancel on his third base. I don't see Patience stopping him because he's a little bit out of position. If he gets in there and gets that Nexus down and walks away, he can definitely escape.
Another thing in the last battle, one of the reasons why he might not have gone for the range upgrade is that he thought he could hit before the Colossus for Patience was out. But then with the first force back, it was actually with a Core using the Potent Overcharge, it was a situation where Patience bought himself the few seconds that he needed to get his own Colossus into the game. Now we have once more the Warp in the main base though, and at the same time the third is under fire. Needs to be careful. Time Warp already dropped by both players here, and a lot of units for Patience already going down.
Yeah, a lot of units going down, but the Immortals are getting good shots off of those Colossi. This is not good for Deer. Deer overextends himself again. He is targeting the Nexus for a long time, but with a few reinforcements, it looks like he will push this back, but that was really scary there for a brief period of time.
The Colossi number definitely helping him quite a lot in the main base. The Warp Prism still active. Has to be careful here, but the Archons now leading the charge and pushing Patience back. He's losing another Colossus.
Yeah, this is not looking good for Patience. It looked like for a second there, if his Immortals had just gotten maybe 4 or 5 more shots off, this would have been a different story, but I mean, the third base is not mine. The third base for Deer, on the other hand, is. And he takes a 6 Harvester lead, and that's not too significant. It's just more about the saturation that he has, that advantage with the additional gas, as he can make more Archons. As you can see here, he can actually afford more Warpins as he goes in the main base. There's no more overcharge.
+3 attack has also been started for Deer. He doesn't miss on the upgrades, and he's going to town at the third base, definitely taking down the Nexus, and now it's 2 base against 3 in a PvP.
Yep. And with the way he's been playing this, it doesn't look like he's going to walk all the way home, because he just continues to put pressure on. He's always aggressive. Now he says, alright, how are you going to defend with less gas than me, less minerals even? Well, I've got a Warp Prism sitting in your main base doing damage. Archons tank the damage at the back, despite the fact that he has less Colossi. He's just going to charge this down, and it looks like it's way too much for Patience to handle.
Yeah, the Colossi are already evaporating, and this looks really good for Deer. Even though he lost his own Colossus, there's not a lot to block anymore for Patience. He's down to 17, 11 army supply against 57. This is the first victory for Seoul, as expected. Patience just not strong enough to defeat the Premier League champion here in Korea.
Yep. Deer, ever since Seoul started to make a little bit of a comeback, Deer just does not lose when he plays in the GSTL. He lost to Innovation, but who faults him for that? But he just played the safer game. The decision to go into DTs and 4 gateways after the Nexus cancel, and then not really commit to the gateway attack, just put him behind from the beginning. His Nexus was so late, his economy was so delayed, the DTs did nothing for him. They were good at defending against the Warp Prism harass, that was true, but it's a lot of gas investment for that.
He just had the better decisions in general in this game and was able to show his experience here. So for Patience, I mean, Patience tried, but like in this game, as we said before, Deer is so highly favored that nobody expected anything else.
Yeah, Patience had... I mean, he had a few moments in that game for sure, but the force field that he didn't do on the ramp, you know, you could argue that doing that doesn't actually trap anything. Maybe he wanted to try to trap when he hit it in between the gateways. You could tell his SimCity was pretty well designed, but once the units are in his main base, the second Stalker comes, how is he going to defend his mineral line when he's got only a sentry for anti-air against the Mothership Core?
You know, that was actually the time where Dia made a couple of questionable moves. When he got his Stalker surrounded by the probes, that was actually really weird. I thought that he would micro a little bit better there. Than with the second one, he at least took down the sentry and the Stalker of his opponent. But he lost the second Stalker too. I feel he could have done a little bit more damage here, but he really wanted to end this game early. You could already see it with the 10 gate that he started things with. He really wanted to put the aggression out and thought, alright, you don't have the experience. If I just pressure you right from the get-go, then everything is going to be fine for me.
Think about what happens if Patience doesn't cancel the Nexus, because after the Stalkers died, the Nexus could have just finished, and then he would have had, you know, a little bit later gateways, and had Deer committed to a big attack, he might have had some trouble because he already used his overcharge. But then if he just kept the Nexus and had that earlier economy, the fact that his tech was a little bit later with the robotics would have been kind of negated. But instead he committed to 4 gateways, which then he didn't use, and then just said, okay, well, alright, I'm just going to sit back and make a Nexus way late. It's just, when you're behind in a game, you got to take risks to get ahead. You got to be aggressive, and he did not do that.
Well, now we're going into our last mirror matchup for the day. And we are going to have our Terran versus Terran with Center going up against Last right now.
Center is a really, really good Terran player, very underrated. The thing about Center is that he plays very rarely, and when he plays, he usually doesn't play high-profile players, so it's really hard to judge his skill, as a fan. And we've got statistics we can look at. We can tell you exactly who you play against, but when you're watching the match, you go, Center, yeah, I haven't seen him in a while. Because there are so many good players on AZUBU that Center only gets called out in very specific situations. You can say the same about Last, as his opponent's only come out one time in the GSTL.
Yeah, and the thing for Last is that he didn't play too much in the GSTL, as you just mentioned, and it's really, he's a player who we do not really know a lot about. The last time that he played in a TVT, that was back in May. He had another match in April. And those are the only games that we see offline in Heart of the Swarmfire. And he had a hiatus for a long time. I'm actually not quite sure why. There were a couple of rumors that he was sick. I'm not quite sure if that's actually true. But he was not playing for the team unless just recently.
Yeah, I mean, not really at all. In Wings of Liberty, when he was playing in the dual tournament of OSL, he was one of the best Terrans to switch on the Kespa side only, of course. And then suddenly in Heart of the Swarm, he kind of fell off and disappeared.
Well, guys, we're going into a 5-minute break before we're jumping into the next game. So see you in a few here at the GSTL Colombo.